Hello and welcome back to Sanford Cares, the podcast. I'm your host, Caitlin Hayes, and each week I get to sit down and have conversations around wellness and how we care for ourselves in college and beyond. This week we are hearing from a mental health perspective, and I have our Director of Counseling, Rich Yoakum, with me. Hey, Rich.
Hey, what's up?
Not much. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Good to be here.
Amazing. I've been having fun this semester starting off each of our emphasis months with your team. They've been a really great anchoring point for all of our conversations.
Surprise. We have such a great team.
Everyone's awesome. They're so fun to work with.
Yes.
And this month you are kicking us off with our Vocational Wellness series. This is April, so it's the end of the semester. Things are feeling really busy, and many of our students may be feeling the crunch towards summer jobs or graduation right now. So I'm really excited to hear your take on all of those ideas. But first, for any first-time listeners, would you introduce yourself, your position, and how long you've been here at Sanford?
Yes. Yes, as you said, Richard Yoakum. I am the Director of Counseling. I've been here for almost 15 years now, and it's been a great situation. I love being here and the opportunity to impact and just do what I do. And we have some incredible students, and uh, that just I'm just really grateful for where I'm at.
It's awesome. And for anyone that does get the joy of seeing Rich pretty often during the semester, you have some like big fans.
Oh, so, yeah.
So I'm excited to hear your take on all of this. I've sent you lots of questions to peruse over. But first, I wanted to kind of give a definition of how I describe vocational wellness for our students. That can be a broad kind of gray area term, but how I like to define it is kind of four parts, which is even more complicated, but it's less complicated once you hear it.
Like it? Do it.
So, vocational wellness is our careers and our callings put together. And often in college, that might look like what your major is or what your plans are after school. But I kind of have four questions that I like to ask students. What are you naturally good at? What are you passionate about? What do you think you have to add to the world or to the conversation? How are you serving people? And what are your financial needs and dreams? Like, I like to say, if I hope to be a millionaire by this point, then my job choice would not be the right one.
No.
But or if I wanted to live in Alabama and be close to my family, then a career choice of being a fashion designer may not be the best spot for this. So looking to see what my life goals are along with my financial responsibilities and how I'm hoping to serve the people around me all mixed together. So it's this fun intermingling of listening to yourself and your natural talents and then looking to the future of what we hope for. But to dive into that, many of our students can feel defined and maybe constricted by their majors or their goals. This can bring a lot of anxiety to our students. What are ways that you see that impacting students as they try to discern career paths or they may not have a major yet?
Yeah. You know, when students are trying to zero in on that major, sometimes, it's understandable that trying to find a major that fits can be difficult and it can be challenging. And there's impact in that path.
Mm,
And because it's difficult, it's it's a little bit anxiety producing. And that's completely understandable. I think at times that anxiety or, and the little, the little bit of the heaviness that goes with it can take on the form of pressure, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
self pressure to get it right.
Mm-hmm.
And then, and honestly, it's really difficult to get something right when you don't have all the answers and all the experiences. And a lot of times, I mean, and our careers are something that unfolds. It's a journey rather than more than it is than a decision. And so, while that can be scary, it also can be reassuring. And so I always encourage students to know that your life journey is just exactly it's a journey and it unfolds. So that's the good news.
That is good news. Do you ever hear students saying that they feel stuck while they're here at college, particularly when they're talking about what's next in their career or trying to decide a major or decide whether to change or
Yeah.
a major? Um, why do you think they would feel that way?
Yeah, and that's great. And really, a common phrase is stuck. And stuck, and a lot of my experiences, students, if they don't have everything all planned out, they feel stuck.
Hmm.
And really, essentially, and again, that's that pressure again, which I don't have everything planned out, which means there's something wrong. Or
Mm,
I'm stuck because I don't know what the next move is. And sometimes we don't, the time to make the next move isn't right now. Everything is going as planned. For some students, we've planned and we've done as much as we can, and we just don't have all the answers yet.
yeah,
And that's where some, God can provide those answers in his timing. And yes, sometimes waiting or and waiting, but anticipating, uh, can be very it can be difficult. And that's maybe where those feelings of being stuck come from.
yeah. I use when I'm meeting with students or working in small groups with students, when I start hearing a student throw that stuck word around, that's usually a yellow flag to me to say, hey, do you have a mentor that you talk to? Is there a counselor that you meet with regularly?
Right.
It might be time to check back in with them because that's typically a word that people use when they've run out of options and they're feeling a little anxious. So anchoring back down into wisdom that they trust is a good way to at least tap back into purpose or ideas or even some trust and that they don't have to have all the answers right now. So that's always a word that when I hear students say that, I'm always like, let's see who else you talk to regularly.
And also a lot of that stuff doesn't necessarily come from the student, it comes from the family and other
Mhm.
expectations or from comparing himself to other students.
Mhm.
And it's like, well, I know of a couple other people that have jobs or they know what they're going to do or they've got everything lined up. And so, and if they do, then, and I don't, what does that mean?
Mhm.
Then a lot of times we interpret that as, um, you know, as failure or lack of preparedness or something personal when it doesn't necessarily mean that.
Yeah,
It can mean other things. So,
absolutely. Um, let's see here. So we're in April. We're moving towards the end of the semester. Another theme that comes up a lot when I talk to students, if we're talking about graduating students or graduate students, they start feeling anxious about the transition from the classroom to the workforce. How often do you see this anxiety? And what are some coping skills that you give students to kind of sit with this anxiety and this transitional worry?
yes. And we see it often, where, it's not unusual for students to experience that kind of anticipation and anxiety about transition. And again, I go with transition by sheer nature can create some anxiety. It's unsettling. It's
Hmm.
unknown.
Hmm.
And a lot of times when in school, when I have a test or an assignment, if I prepare myself enough, that lowers my anxiety to a manageable or an acceptable anticipatory level. And so it gives a false sense of control.
Mm,
And so, but I can't do that with my job.
yeah.
So like, or, or my transition. So which means, which then I don't know what to do and I don't know how to lower this anticipatory or anxious, uh, this anxiety about transition. And so then again, we might interpret that as this is bad. What do I have to do? Rather than just accepting it. It is anxious. Um, there's adventure. There's a lot of awesome, fun, and exciting things about, transitioning into the workforce. And we, try to zero back in on your values. Who are you? And you take yourself wherever you go, and you've been very successful up until now.
Hmm.
That you've completed assignments, you've complete deadlines, you show up, you have the skills, and you'll take them with you,
Hmm.
and to focus on those things. And a lot of times that helps with, you know, coping and managing that anxiety.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the things too, and maybe this is just me bringing my own experience into the conversation, but when I was a senior in my undergrad, I freaked out about graduating school and not having that structure anymore.
Yeah.
So therefore, I applied to grad school and at least, put it off for a couple of more years. And while our career development center does not encourage uh, panic-filled grad school applications. Uh, that's not the right reason to go to grad school, but I did that because it felt like whatever decision I was making next, I was going to be stuck with for the next 40 years.
Yeah.
Like it felt like I only had one time to make this decision and make it right. And that caused me a lot of anxiety. So I think my past self would have just benefited from hearing that, like, you're just giving it a try. Like, you've got to pay your bills, you've got to do what you need to do. But I've had so many jobs since then.
Yes. Yeah. Is it? Yeah. I mean, even in my journey, which is, what I have had a lot of different types of jobs, not just different jobs, but administration and sales and marketing. And, before I got my master's, and they're all, they're all part of my story that gives me information and to learn from it. And that's the same difference. If my major is to define me, then that can be a difficult approach. I think if you, as you were alluding to earlier, when we think about like our interests, what excites us, and how we're designed, when we tailor our education towards that, it just gives us more tools. And you go find a job that's suitable for you, and you might even like find a job that's not a great fit, but even at that, that's a good learning experience. But it unfolds, and that's a wonderful thing about this. And as I say, it takes the pressure off. Instead of you have to get it right,
Hmm.
we can, when we do our best to get it right,
Hmm. Yeah, you can just try.
you do your best.
Hmm.
That is the best. That's great.
I think this leads us into our next conversation and a little bit of shifting here.
Mhm.
I've heard your team talk a lot here in the last year about curiosity.
Mhm.
So, what does adding curiosity into our approach to new things and transition? What is that doing for our brains, our nervous systems, our well-being in general? Um, what is curiosity adding to the conversation?
Oh man, you know, when I was at a conference and one of the presenters said essentially that more programming or more control um, does not solve problems. It creates, you know, more rules, more regulations, creates more anxiety. And the antidote is curiosity.
Mm,
Curiosity opens possibilities.
mm,
And I think when we approach even, specifically with this, with our career, when we have experiences, one way would be to shame or, and be pressure ourselves, which is it's not good enough. I shouldn't feel this way. I should know what I'm supposed to do.
mm,
That's pressure.
mhm,
When we go, I'm feeling overwhelmed or I'm feeling scared, I wonder why.
mm,
And a lot of times we can come to the conclusion it's scary. Well, I don't know what's going to happen. And that's the truth. And that's
mhm,
how it's supposed to be. Or I wonder what I like. I wonder what excites me or what doesn't excite me. And that can also give us answers as well. So yeah, curiosity is so um, vital. It's important. And it's such a beautiful thing when we approach um, this with that mindset.
yeah. It also helps gets us out of a fight or flight mindset, right?
Yes. Yeah, we settle more into contemplative, you know, um, reasoning, and we're more attuned with what's happening with inside of us rather than the fight or flight, like you said,
Hmm.
which sends us into, you know, survival mode.
Yeah.
And we don't want to survive this. We want to experience it and live it.
Mm. So how can adding curiosity help us be vocationally curious? And could this help add peace and confidence to our choices, even when we don't know what the next step is?
Yeah, I mean, it goes sort of the same thing here as, when what do we like? And as you mentioned earlier, right at one of your four pillars there, which was really cool. Like, as I've said before, um, like when I really get in tune, when I get curious about who I am, I'm creative to a degree. I like the science. I'm not a details kind of person, or especially when it comes to, and I like interacting with people. So like I would be a horrible CPA. I mean, I could do the job, but that is not how I'm fit. That's not how I'm designed.
Mhm,
And I draw analogy of like if I, if I'm a vehicle, I liken myself to being like I'm a John Deere tractor, and I do not belong on the Indy 500 course. I belong out in a cornfield because that's how I'm designed.
mhm,
And also the converse, like people that are Indy 500 cars or or like NASCARs, like they're fast, they're designed a certain way. They don't belong out in a cornfield.
mhm, mhm.
We all have our design, and it's in the curiosity allows us to kind of ask those questions rather than trying to mold ourself into something that we're not based on a lot of societal pressures.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it feels free. It feels settling. It feels confidence. Or you experience confidence, and it starts again, opens up possibilities and opportunities, rather than more anxieties of how do I mold or fit myself into this expectation.
Hmm. My mom is finishing up her 25th year of teaching in the classroom this year. And one of the quotes that she has come back to my entire life is like, I think it's the Einstein quote of like, if you judge a fish by how it climbs a tree, it'll never be successful.
Yes.
Like,
So good. Yeah.
like it will never look like it can do anything because it wasn't built to climb a tree.
That's right. Put it in water. Now I go.
Right, right, right. So it's finding your environment that's best for you.
That's right. Well said.
Mm. Um, would love to hear any final words of wisdom you think our students might need to hear right now. And then to finish us up, I'd love to hear how you're taking care of yourself lately.
Okay. Um, just I think words of wisdom, just you all do so much right. And to be able to acknowledge that and as I, you know, just acknowledge that you're doing so much right. And you can take that with you wherever you go. And no one can take that away. And it means a lot. And just persons, people that with integrity and that care
Mm-hmm.
means a lot.
Yeah.
And that goes a long ways in the workforce.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think that that's, something that can get overlooked when it comes to exactly the more of the finer details, what exactly do I do? And, again, that'll come in time.
Yeah.
Um, what do I do? I think it's important, and for me, because I do love my job, and I think it's for me, it's good to be able to work backwards with um, time for refueling, time for self care, and that comes not just first, but it comes along with my schedule of the opportunity to work and to make it, to interact with students and to do therapy, and that's just as important. And so I want to make sure that I carve out time where I protect my time to have fun, to rest, because that greatly impacts my ability of when I am on my job, and it makes me that much better.
Mm-hmm.
So that's sort of my self care right now.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's great.
yeah,
Yeah, I think it's so easy to fall into like the burnout cycle of just coming home and crashing. Like I think you said that adding in fun outside of work is how you're caring for yourself. And it seems so simple and so basic, but it's actually so hard to keep doing
yeah,
as adults with like responsibilities and jobs and families. Mm.
because I can do more.
Mm-hmm.
And I sometimes operate it out of that as like, well, I can meet, I can stay until 6, or I can do this, I can do this because I could.
Mm-hmm.
But what I wasn't calculating was just the opportunity cost.
Mm-hmm.
And as I did that, it robbed me of other things.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's not okay.
Mm. Yeah. I have one more fun question for you, Rich, before we close out today.
All right.
Do you have a favorite Samford memory?
Hmm. Favorite Stanford memory. Hmm. I got a lot of different. I mean, I've lots of games that I've been to over at the Indiana. There's also been lots of different events and meaningful meetings, and gosh, there's just. But I mean, you know what? I think one of the some, and it's. I don't think I have one particular event or story, but I think as a collective, I just love being out at Ben Brown when it's packed with students and everybody's hanging out. And it just gives me such a great sense of peace and uh, just seeing the community. And it's just, there's nothing like it.
That's so
That's my,
good.
yeah, that's my favorite part of Super.
I heard a student the other day say that she was like, I was having a terrible week. I was so stressed and I felt like everything was bad. And she's like, but then I made myself go outside and talk to people for 30 minutes and I felt like all my problems were solved. The world seemed lighter.
Sorry, there it is. That's good. What a great story.
Mm. Well, thank you so much, Rich, for giving us your time and for sharing your wisdom. I'm excited to kick off this month of vocational curiosity. And we'll see what happens next week.
Yeah.
Thank you.